Other issues we're keen to talk about on the programme, including the high-speed rail link. And now the former deputy chair of the government's review into HS2 has today released a dissenting report where he claims taxpayers are set to lose £40 billion on the project after Parliament was misled about its costs. Let's just remind ourselves of what HS2 actually is. It's a high-speed rail line connecting London to cities in the north of England. The line will form a Y shape, so it starts in London, goes to Birmingham, then splits towards Manchester in one direction and Leeds in the other. But the cost of the project has been repeatedly revised upwards, and it's also been beset by delays. Well, Boris Johnson set up a review to look into the project when he became Prime Minister, but the deputy chair of the review panel, Lord Berkeley, left his role in November, saying he'd had no opportunity to influence its conclusions. And he's now released his own rogue report, and he joins us now. Thank you very much for being with us. So, you were so disillusioned with the official report, if you like, commissioned by the government, that you've produced your own. What's in it?
My report suggests that the project is completely out of control financially, and it doesn't actually do what's in the tin, because it doesn't benefit the North and the Midlands in the way that upgrading existing lines could. And also they fiddled the figures to improve the benefit-cost ratio by allowing for 18 trains an hour to go on the line when nobody in the world runs more than 14. So the revenue's all shot to pieces, really. I mean,
fiddle the figures is quite a strong accusation that you're making here. You effectively, I mean, who fiddled the figures, firstly? And secondly, are you saying that Parliament's been misled?
I believe that Parliament's been misled because the costs were clearly known to the Department of Transport and, I believe, ministers 3 or 4 years ago. There's a lot of evidence for that, and the costs at that stage, they were saying, well, probably they were over 100 billion. Now I think the figure, which I believe is about right, is 107 billion. It's an enormous figure, and Parliament should have had an opportunity to debate this.
But these are estimates, though, aren't they? I mean, people just have to go on effectively, their best guess, don't they? I mean, the figures aren't always going to be right.
Well, everything's an estimate, but on the other hand, people are complaining, I think quite rightly, that Crossrail has gone up in maybe 25%. Cost increase now. That's at the end of construction. This project is probably 2 or 3 times over budget, even before the construction has started. Now, that's a completely different level of cost overrun, and it does need looking at again.
You, of course, were Deputy Chair of the Oakervie report, which was the one that's set up by the government to look into HS2, what should happen with it. 9 out of the 10 panel members have stuck by it, even those who are quite sceptical about HS2. So why are they wrong and you're the one who's right?
Well, I don't know. You'll have to ask them. But, I mean, I believe I'm right because having talked to many people in the regions, many people involved in this, I'm convinced that the real problem is that the railways in the regions, in particular the North and the Midlands, are really bad, and it's them that need investment for local commuters and people wanting to get about their business there. Getting to London is secondary for most people, except for members of Parliament and politicians like me, maybe, and the managing directors of companies. So attracting business to these areas will be done by improving the commuter services dramatically to make them look more like the London services, which are on the whole are very good.
At the same time, though, people who are working in the regions, many of them are very supportive of HS2. We can have a look, for example, at some quotes, starting off with Andy Street, who's the Mayor of the West Midlands. He said, "We need a commitment to something that I'm certain will be seen for generations to come as a critical investment to the future of the country and will drive the economic revival of the Midlands and the North." We can also have a look at Judith Blake, the leader of Leeds City Council. She says, by delivering HS2 and Northern Powerhouse Rail, we'll transform towns and cities across the North, helping to attract investment and provide good quality jobs for decades to come. So why are these people who are in Leeds, who are in Birmingham, saying that it would be a good thing?
Well, I've asked them, I've spoken to Andy at some length. Yes, better rail services will probably bring investment. But whether it's better rail services, which are better commuter services, which in the Birmingham area are pretty awful, frankly, or getting to London 10 minutes quicker, is a debate that nobody's answered. And I suggest that the companies who they say will be attracted into Birmingham and Manchester and Leeds, if they had a decent commuter services to get a bigger workforce able to come in and compete for jobs, in the area is actually more important than getting to London a bit more quickly.
Now, we spoke to Dominic Raab earlier on the programme, the Foreign Secretary, who reiterated the government's commitment to HS2, but there has been some speculation about how warm or not warm Boris Johnson is about the project, and that potentially the report was effectively a way of buying him more time before he had to make a decision. I mean, you have a pretty good idea, don't you, of where the government's mind is on it. What do you think they'll end up doing with HS2?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I haven't talked to Boris. I submitted my report, and no doubt he'll think about it. But for me, HS2, if it were almost cancelled, except for the bit in the northern powerhouse area, and replaced by about half the investment on local services, local rail network in the north and the Midlands, it would be much better for everybody who lives up there. And, saving 50 billion at this stage, I think, is quite something that he'll want to look at.
OK. Thank you very much for coming on the programme today and for giving us the details of that report that you are publishing. Thank you very much.